All right, my friends, we are live and I'm coming at you with another video today. It is day 2 of the Donald Trump trial in New York City, brought by the distinguished Attorney General Letitia James. She only won just $250 million from old Donald Trump. And if you can't tell, I'm being extremely sarcastic. This trial just reeks of corruption. It reeks of just wrong. This has to stop. But we're going to get right into it. I have a video clip, and we're going to talk about it.
Last night, the U.S. Attorney General told 60 Minutes that Washington doesn't care if you're rich or poor, friend or foe, black or white, Republican or Democrat. You get treated the same.
We do not have one rule for Republicans and another rule for Democrats. We don't have one rule for foes and another for friends. We don't have one rule for the powerful and another for the powerless, for the rich or for the poor, based on ethnicity. We have only one rule, and that one rule is to follow the facts and the law.
That might be the biggest lie a lawyer's ever told. But why did he tell it? It's because the country knows fairness is dead. Life's not fair, I know. But we used to strive for the appearance of fairness. But you don't have to appear fair in America when Trump's involved. Today, we witnessed a financial assassination attempt. And if this succeeds, you're next. Politicians have a message for you. Businessmen, don't you dare ever run for president again. If you do, you'll get the corporate death penalty. First, they come for your freedom, and then they come for your company. After embellishing his entire resume, his whole life, Joe Biden and his Democrat attorneys are claiming Trump embellished the value of his real estate portfolio. The Biden portfolio is just a maze of shells to conceal Chinese bribes. Trump's portfolio actually has real value because he built things, unlike politicians who take things from builders and demand credit. Now, when you spend your career producing and doing things, you become a fat target for parasitic politicians who can only make money insider trading. Destroying wealth is what politicians do, and they're on a warpath against the Trump organization. This morning, Trump was in court fighting for the survival of his real estate empire.
So very simply put, it's a witch hunt. It's a disgrace. We have a corrupt attorney general in this state. You see how she does?
He's
This
right.
trial was railroaded and fast-tracked. This trial could have been brought years ago, but they waited till I was right in the middle of my campaign.
That's right,
The same
Donald.
with other trials and indictments. It's all run by DOJ, which is corrupt in Washington.
New York Democrat Attorney General Letitia James, who campaigned on prosecuting Trump instead of crime, is accusing him of overvaluing his assets. She wants to strip him of his business license, and she wants him to pay her $250 million.
Make sure you understand that this particular lady right here that you're looking at ran in the city of New York, the state of New York, for the position of the Attorney General. Her theme, her motto, her campaign was, if you elect me, I will go after that MF. Actively campaign cussing. And this is what elected her to office. Can you imagine that? Does that sound fair to you in America? That we can elect a politician and their sole reason to be elected can be because I'm going to go after somebody, I'm going to go after his kids, I'm going to go after his family, and I'm going to destroy him. This is so wrong on so many levels. It's just unconscionable. And of course, they only want to pay him just $250 million. That's all they want from the Donald. Absolutely outrageous. And remember this, folks, if Donald Trump loses this particular case, he will be forced to sell all of his assets in New York State, and he'll essentially have to leave the state because he will not be able to conduct business there any longer. Let's get back into it.
The damages. And the case is overseen by a Democrat judge who donates to Democrats and smiles at the camera like a sociopath at a child's birthday party. Look at that.
How would you like to be facing that judge? Look at that smug smile. This is a Democratic judge with a Democratic AG, and you have to show up for a 3-month trial, and all they are essentially arguing is how much you have to pay. This partisan judge has already made the determination that Donald Trump has committed some serious fraud. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Just absolutely ridiculous.
What was that? This case has no jury and no victims.
No bank was affected, no bank was hurt. They don't even know why they have to be involved. And they've so testified. They can't believe that they're involved.
New York State has a special law that they can still prosecute you and go after you for these alleged financial crimes, these basically consumer fraud allegations, even though there is no victim, even though there has not been any allegation of anyone losing money, even though no one is screaming, hey, I was defrauded. They are simply allowed to do that under the ridiculous statutes that they have there.
Because they were paid back on time, there were no defaults, there were no problems, and it was like a perfect client. In the meantime, people are being murdered all over the sidewalks of New York. There was no victim here.
Apple uses slaves to build iPhones. Lucky Charms uses illegal alien child labor to box their cereal. Modeling agencies recruit bulimic teens from refugee camps and sex traffic them. But how dare the Trump organization value a building at $100 million when New York Democrats say it's merely $50 million? I thought Democrats looked the other way when you defrauded the government. Didn't Hunter deduct escorts from his taxes? Bankrupting Trump and keeping him off the campaign trail so Biden can coast to re-election as a squeaky clean statesman, that's the play. Doesn't matter if the charges don't stick. Even today, 80% of the case was basically tossed. Today, we'll show you what next year will look like. Trump Velcroed to courtrooms, wrestling flimsy charges, while Biden claims he doesn't have a single fingerprint anywhere. Biden sent his attorney general to 60 Minutes on the eve of Trump's Manhattan trial to claim Biden has nothing to do with it.
Your critics say that it's time to ruin Mr. Trump's chances in the election.
Well, that's absolutely not true. Justice Department prosecutors are nonpartisan.
This guy's a
They don't
liar.
allow partisan considerations to play any role.
He
in their
is Mr.
determinations.
Partisan.
You are not in communication with the president or any member of his administration with regard to the investigation of former President Trump.
No, I am not.
Now, if
Right.
I were president and my attorney general was arresting the guy that was beating me in the polls by 10 points, you wouldn't have to say anything. The thank yous implied. Protecting democracy is code for protecting their power. If Trump wins, democracy's over. If Trump loses, they save democracy. That is until the next election, then democracy's back on the ballot. The politicians are so insecure, they know they're corrupt, they don't want you to read about their corruption now. Having a different opinion is dangerous, and Elon Musk is being warned to watch it.
What about what Elon Musk has done to Twitter, lowering guardrails against misinformation? Does that contribute to it?
Yeah, it does. Look, one of the things that I said to you when I thought I wasn't going to run, I was going to write a book about the changes taking place. And most of it's directed over the years for these fundamental changes in society by changing technology. Gutenberg printing in the printing press changed the way Europeans could talk to one another, all the way to today. Where do people get their news? They go on the internet. They go online. They go.
This is code for they're going to try to censor the free speech once again. This man here wants to tell you what is true and what is not true. Better beware.
And you have no notion whether it's true or not.
Biden, like all tyrants, believes the internet's as dangerous as the printing press. Now, before the printing press, the church was able to interpret the Bible to the masses. And once the Bible was accessible to individual Europeans, it triggered the Protestant Reformation. Just as today, the internet broke the corporate media control of information. Social media is ushering in a new revolution that threatens the status quo. And what does it tell you? That the President of the United States, an establishment Democrat, who's been protected by the intelligence agencies and corporate America, believes he's the victim of a vicious disinformation campaign. A politician who's been protected from IRS whistleblowers, FBI investigations, financial exposés, even protected by China, wants you to sympathize with how vulnerable he is to these bloggers on the internet. Except everything we read about Biden on the internet turns out to be true. No one's spinning this. Here, watch Biden. He says, watch me, watch.
I hope this experience for the speaker has been one of a personal revelation. I'm not being facetious. Anyway,
Folks, it's obvious our president is incoherent. He's incompetent. It's not a matter of being mean, it's a matter of facing reality. This is a man that cannot put two sentences together and has to have handlers right there to protect him at all times. It is very disconcerting.
Biden can't talk, so he wants the court to gag Trump so he can't talk either. Biden thought arresting Trump would make Democrats love him, but instead they saw desperation. A weak prop clinging into power by any means necessary, and a man whose incompetence turned the country upside down, almost guaranteeing Trump walking back into the White House.
Someone has to convince President Biden that if he runs again, he's going to turn the country back over to Trump and go down in history as Ruth Bader Biden. The person who doesn't know when to quit and so does great damage to their party and their country. As a politician, you're naturally going to say, but the work is not finished. Of course not. It never is. But it's time to let someone else finish it. You don't want to go down as Ruth Bader Biden. America is calling, Joe, and it's saying, that's not our car, Grandpa. We're over here.
Here now, Alina Habba. She's an attorney for President Trump who is in court today. So what's it like in court? Is it just a bunch of cheap shots?
Now, this is one of the attorneys that's actually representing President Donald Trump in the New York case. You may see her beside the president or in the background during the news conferences or when they're actually in court.
Well, today was opening statements, so that's a little bit more fun than the mundane, I will say, Jesse. But no, there's not cheap shots. I think there's reality, and then there's this world that they all live in. And they put on quite a performance trying to make it look like there was corruption that doesn't exist. And we got up and we made it very clear. First, let's start with something very basic. We are not supposed to be here doing this trial right now because we're not even sure what the scope is because the appellate division hasn't said so. Now, we're sitting here in court, we're putting on our arguments, and we're saying, wait a minute, you're relying on Michael Cohen. They played a clip from him today. I started laughing.
They played a clip of Michael Cohen at the court case today.
That was how they thought their strong point was. Let's start off
Wait,
with
Letitia
Michael
James,
Cohen.
the Democrat Attorney General,
Yeah.
led with Michael Cohen in court.
Yes.
That should tell you everything you.
Remember, Michael Cohen was the former attorney, aka the fixer for President Donald Trump. And of course, him and Donald Trump has had a falling out, to put it mildly. So all of a sudden, now he has turned against Donald Trump. And let's see what he has to say.
Need to know. This judge looked a little creepy with a smile. What was your opinion of him?
I am not going to state it. I'm going to let you do it.
Very good. I'll state it. He looked very deranged. So the vibe inside was what? The president was there. He didn't have to show up, but he did.
Oh, my
Why did he
goodness.
show up?
Because this is his company. This is his life. And people forget.
How would you like to have that judge right there smiling at the camera when they don't even normally allow cameras in the courtroom? Obviously, they allowed the recorder to come in to record the attorney general staring down the president having to defend himself instead of out campaigning, and then you got this judge smiling like, I got you. What a wonderful, wonderful statement.
That President Trump, I hope they don't forget, you shouldn't, you can't. President Trump was a very important person before he was president. He was a successful businessman, which is why he was a great president. He built this company from scratch, and now they're attacking his business, the people that work for this business, and his children. It's uncanny, and he's not going to stand for it because this is political lawfare. This isn't the justice system. This is political 100%. He needed to be there. He needed to look him in the eye.
Does he beat this whole rap?
He should. And if he doesn't beat it in this court, I'll tell you right now, we'll beat it somewhere else.
All right, we're going to stop it right there. The reality of what's going on, like she was just talking about, eventually the president will prevail. But the problem is it may not be to sometime well after the actual election takes place. And that's been their goal all along. You talk about election interference, it's these people that are trying to interfere with the election. They're afraid to let the American people vote. and make a decision on who they want as their president. So what's the idea between the Democrats and their co-collaborators? Basically to throw everything they can at this president, destroy him, destroy his family, destroy his businesses, destroy anybody in his privity. This is very serious, and it's a shame, and we should not stand for it at all. At any rate, I always encourage you to have a free mind, do your own thinking, do research, check all this out, make your own opinion. Please leave me a comment below. I want you to know you truly do humble me when you tune in and you listen to my videos. I get a lot of emails from a lot of folks out there, and I definitely appreciate hearing from you. I definitely appreciate you joining me today, coming to you from beautiful Zephyr Hills, Florida. I am JR Dukes.